Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking about Smackdown 1000, which not that long ago seemed like it was forever away, and it was like, sort of that thing that we put on the calendar. It's a big show that's coming up, and next thing you know, now here it is, and it's Tuesday, and let me tell you honestly, SmackDown 1000 does not seem like that very big of a deal. I know that SmackDown, the big rumor is that SmackDown is soon to become the #1 A show. This is honestly a rumor that I've been hearing since a long time ago. I mean, when SmackDown first came out, the rumor was that it was going to become the A show. Shortly around the 2002 draft, when Vince took over SmackDown and Ric Flair took over Monday Night Raw, I think it was looked at as SmackDown was going to be that main show that they really sacked it on, and they really wanted to build on the UPN coverage. And then SmackDown has gone through its highs, it's gone through its lows. Now with it moving to Fox, it looks like they're really going to have to make it a big deal. But SmackDown 1000 is not getting the same sort of coverage or the same kind of love that Monday Night Raw episode number 1000 got. That episode came to you live on USA. That episode was from St. Louis, I believe, and that was treated like a pay-per-view. They brought back legends. They brought back non-legends. They brought back mid-carders that seemed like they got a more of a bigger response due to the fact that people hadn't seen them in so long. That everybody was there, and it seemed like it was honestly a big deal. But at the same time, they didn't really get away from the current product. Right now, I think that WWE is doubling down with the Evolution pay-per-view as well as Crown Jewel. Just too many pay-per-views coming to you at one time that I think they have to just sort of stick down on the current product, and they don't have any time in a 2-hour show to try and pay back for everything that's going on. I will tell you that there are rumors that The Rock is going to be there. I don't think he is going to be there. People are rumoring about Edge and Christian. It doesn't look like they're going to be there. The only thing that we know is that honestly, Evolution's going to be there. Mysterio is having his first match back in WWE against Shinsuke Nakamura, and Evolution is going to be reuniting, bringing Batista back to the product in the first time in 4 years since going off to make some movies and things like that. So to me, I guess maybe that's a big deal for SmackDown, but for this SmackDown number 1000, with the rumor coming up that SmackDown is going to be the main show, it doesn't really seem like this lives up to what Raw 1000 was, where you had Punk versus Cena as the main event. You had Undertaker return. You had Undertaker and Kane beat up a whole bunch of dudes. I honestly, off the top of my head, I remember all those legends came back and beat up Heath Slater. But it just seemed like Raw 1000 was just jam-packed with things. And SmackDown 1000 is just sort of like, well, The Undertaker's going to be there. We got Evolution. Just not really things that make you really like, SmackDown's on Tuesday. I gotta watch it. I know the people out there who watch SmackDown religiously think that it's a really good show, but for somebody like me who is fringe on the product at best right now, this isn't really a show that I'm really clamoring to sit down and watch live on Tuesday. This is something that, I'll be, checking out what happens on YouTube, if I can find a posting. If not, I'll just sort of watch the social media posts that WWE puts up, and that's probably going to be enough for me to get through it. So SmackDown 1000, to me, doesn't really have that pay-per-view atmosphere of, let's see what really pays off on this. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here with the SmackDown 1000 full show preview. We're kicking it off with, honestly, what is probably the biggest deal that is going to be taking down on SmackDown 1000. That is going to be Rey Mysterio making his return to WWE. He's going to be wrestling a match against Shinsuke Nakamura, which I hope is the beginning of a feud for Rey Mysterio to come in, immediately go after a United States Championship match with Shinsuke Nakamura. This would be really good matches that could be featured on SmackDown as well as on pay-per-view. But this match is for a qualifying spot in a WWE World Cup match, which as of right now, WWE is telling you that it's going to happen at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. But if you go over and you look at the SmackDown preview, or you look at anything on the main page of WWE talking about Crown Jewel, does not look to be featuring Saudi Arabia anymore. I think that honestly at this point, WWE is going to be going to Saudi Arabia. They're going to be filming their pay-per-view. They're going to be putting on one hell of a show for the Saudis over there. I think they're going to take the Saudi money. I think that they're going to find a way to not really feature Saudi Arabia on the pay-per-view or even talk about the fact that they're there. But $50 million is a lot of money. And if you have some good, really good, security that's going to watch after your people, and you make sure you tell people that you fly in with us, you stay with us, you stay in the group, basically you stay in your room, you're going to be safe, let's get the hell out of here and cash our check, we're only here for one day, then I think that, WWE is good off to get there and cash their money. I think that honestly, Saudi Arabia, if they did what people are talking about with that reporter, I don't really see the Saudis, going after somebody in WWE, taking somebody like Randy Orton or Jeff Hardy or anything like that. I know that WWE wrestlers are not really mainstream people besides for maybe John Cena, but I don't think they want any attention on them for taking any kind of wrestler and holding them hostage or anything like that. That's some attention that I don't think that the Saudi Arabia wants to bring upon them. You actually have TMZ or any other sort of sites that would report on this. I mean, hell, CNN reported on when Domino and Luke Gallows got held captive over in Africa. So I mean, WWE wrestlers sort of already getting some attention for having this show in Saudi Arabia at this time. If anything was to go down, I don't think that would be the best. But Rey Mysterio, is there a way in the world that anybody out there thinks that he's going to lose his return match against Shinsuke Nakamura? The United States Championship is not on the line. Easily, Rey Mysterio coming back and getting a win against Nakamura could have Nakamura coming back the next week and saying, hey, yeah, you did earn a spot into the World Cup qualifier, but you didn't beat the champion at the time, so the championship wasn't on the line, and just wants to stand up and just beat him. And we could have a dream match of Nakamura versus Mysterio. Definitely Mysterio coming back to WWE is to definitely, get that WWE style paycheck, not having to, deal with the indies anymore, but have these dream matches that people in WWE can have with Mysterio. Because how many people at the time that Mysterio was going to the independents did he not get a chance to actually wrestle because of the fact WWE picked up these contracts and brought these guys in? So I'm looking this to be the start of something. Mysterio to definitely get the win and be featured on the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, and see where we go from there. The Undertaker is making his return to SmackDown at SmackDown 1000 on Tuesday. Undertaker, when most of the time he makes his returns to WWE for a big WrestleMania or a big pay-per-view or anything, most of the time is featured on Monday Night Raw. I know that there's, been a time that Brock Lesnar was on SmackDown, Undertaker was on Main Event. A lot of times with SmackDown, they weren't even featuring John Cena and or Roman Reigns before really the brand split, just trying to make Monday Night War special, that there was people on the show that was the only way that they got a chance to see them. Undertaker is going to be on SmackDown 1000 because of the fact that I think there was a short time at the beginning of the brand split back in 2002 when Undertaker was a Monday Night Raw performer. He was drafted by Ric Flair. He had the match at WrestleMania against Flair, but because of the fact that he won the championship, made it where he was able to go to both brands. And, once he lost the championship, Undertaker just wound up as a part of the SmackDown roster and was a guy that never moved again. He was just sort of always there until I think around after WrestleMania 25 is when he just sort of became that one and done kind of guy that would come back and have things with Shawn Michaels and things like that, and Triple H for WrestleMania matches. But this is the first time I think Undertaker has been on the show since maybe, I don't know if it's been that long, but maybe the 10th anniversary special, or there was some kind of anniversary special that SmackDown came to, where Undertaker was there and he shot lightning out of his hands and sort of stuff like that, sort of effects that we haven't seen on SmackDown, honestly, in a long time, because of the fact that even though it's Undertaker, sometimes they come off looking a little hokey. The word on the street is that Undertaker is going to be having some sort of a face-off with Triple H, who will be making an appearance on the show already as a part of Evolution. I don't really see Undertaker making his way down to the ring and having some sort of a face-off with Evolution, 4-on-1 style. So I'm thinking that more than likely, this Undertaker appearance, maybe even Triple H appearance, will be totally separate, but maybe the Triple H as a part of Evolution is the reason why he's in the building. Because when it comes down to it, even with Evolution, they're really not probably all going to be all on the same sides, with right now sort of Triple H being with Shawn Michaels and DX. Undertaker is looking more like the form of a heel right now. So you've got Triple H and Ric Flair. I would guess even Batista being baby faces at this time. Orton, I guess it's pretty easy to call him a heel after his series of matches against Jeff Hardy, including the Hell in the Cell match, with him sort of stretching out his ears with the screwdriver and things like that. So it's pretty easy to call him a heel and not be a babyface. So I don't really see like Orton turning on Evolution, Undertaker coming down, or anything like that. But something's got to happen. It's definitely going to be a part of Crown Jewel, and we'll see what it all comes down to at SmackDown 1000 when Undertaker returns. First time he's been there in a while. Hopefully WWE can pay off on it, because of the fact that, like I talked about earlier, SmackDown 1000 doesn't really seem like it's that big of a deal. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here. To me, honestly, the biggest thing that is going to happen on the SmackDown episode number 1000 on Tuesday night on Sci-Fi is going to be the Evolution reunion. This honestly could be the biggest thing to happen in WWE in quite some time, that hopefully sets up what is going to happen for WWE at WrestleMania involving Triple H and Batista. A lot of people have been clamoring for Batista return to WWE. Definitely, if you think of Batista's last run in WWE at WrestleMania 30, where Batista came back, he won the Royal Rumble. He was slated to have Batista versus Randy Orton as to be one of the main event matches of WrestleMania 30, only for Daniel Bryan to have the biggest, crowd reactions that WWE has seen in quite some time. Definitely, it's the one thing that the fans have really clamored to, that they really wanted that to happen more than anything else at the time, that WWE gave in and put Daniel Bryan in that match, sort of, giving Batista that cold shoulder, maybe trying to make him feel like his return didn't really pay off the way that they thought it was going to. Batista ended up, wrestling at WrestleMania 30. He was the guy who tapped out to make Bryan the champion. Batista would go on to wrestle 2 matches as teaming with Randy Orton and Triple H against The Shield. Both of those matches, honestly, were awesome. The last match that Batista was in is when it paid off as Blue-tista, him coming out all in blue. Which sort of was out of the middle of nowhere, and the fans on Twitter just, that took off to the point where it got its own figure through WWE, and Batista even brings it up that it was one of the things that the fans really hooked on that he did, that paid off more than anything else, that whole run in WWE. But Batista and Triple H had their implosion of Evolution the next night on Monday Night Raw. That looked like they were trying to set up the next year's WrestleMania, with Batista sort of being shunned by Triple H by wanting to go off and film his movie that Triple H didn't think was going to be a success. WWE really didn't get behind it. If you can remember, WWE didn't really feature it with commercials. They didn't really feature Batista as becoming a movie star. They sort of treated it like, we're going to play it safe with this one, because we don't really know if this comic book movie is going to pay off. And it ended up being one of the biggest successes of all the Marvel movies that they have out there. And it's almost almost like when they came back with the sequel, WWE had a chance to sort of make up for that first one, and they doubled down on it, and they did the same exact thing, almost like trying to treat Batista like he was trying to make them feel like he was too good for them and didn't want to be there. But when you go check out what Batista says to fans, what he answers on Twitter, what he posts up there to himself, Batista wants to be a part of WWE. There's a part of Batista that really wants to wrestle at WrestleMania. He doesn't want to just come back and do the Hall of Fame. He wants a real thing. He wants to be a part of, house shows. He wants to be a part of TV. He wants to be a part of, of WrestleMania. He wants to have that goodbye match. He's, come up with his few different booking ideas, but for one reason or another, it's almost as if just Batista and WWE just don't mix right now, and WWE doesn't want anything to do with them. But out of the middle of nowhere, after Batista came out, that WWE hadn't even offered him a spot to return to SmackDown. It's almost as if WWE was like, oh, we didn't even know you wanted to be at SmackDown 1000. And the phone call was made and Batista was booked, and now we have this Evolution reunion. At this time, this is kind of a weird time to do an Evolution reunion because not all the guys are on the same side. Definitely, it would be really easy to make all of these guys heels for one night only on SmackDown, seeing how Triple H pretty much revolves on his own universe, in the WWE universe, that is, because, when it comes to WWE, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, Triple H is most of the time treated like a heel. Right now he's, reunited with Shawn Michaels and DX, so he's going to be a big baby face. But whenever he's mentioned on NXT, he's like the savior of wrestling that people are just clamoring to take over WWE and take it to new heights once Vince is ready to pass that torch. And people see Triple H as the guy who's going to get wrestling out of the rut that it's in right now. So this could go either way. Definitely my book. I think that it'd be easy for the fans to cheer Batista. But seeing how, Evolution was a heel group, it would be fun to see them come out and all play up being heels. I don't really know who they could go after on the main roster. There has to be some sort of payoff. They're not just going to come out there and deliver a promo, say we are Evolution, Triple H. He can't do the hair flip anymore because he doesn't have any hair. But, they just can't do that. And, there has to be something, whether if it's them, teaming up against Undertaker and Kane or something like that would be kind of weird because they're not going to be at the pay-per-view. But WWE's always got something going on. But to me, Evolution seems like it's going to be the biggest thing at SmackDown 1000. That's the one thing that I'm really hoping to see more than anything else. So we'll see what goes down. All right, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. This basically is a straight-up rumor video. There is a lot of smoke going on in the WWE. People are always talking about when this is going to happen. So I don't want anybody to think that I'm making this video trying to falsify that, this is going to happen or I think it's going to happen or anything else. But basically, there's been talks of how The Rock is going to be a part of SmackDown 1000. How can they have a SmackDown 1000 anniversary party without the man that the show was named after showing up and being a part of SmackDown 1000? Easily, to me, I think that at this point in my life, I really truly do believe that The Rock cares about wrestling. Does The Rock have 1,000 other things in his life that is more important than the WWE at this time? I mean, hell, I would bet honestly that The Rock's paycheck that he gets, for paybacks, for royalties, for using his likeness to sell t-shirts and, figures and use him in the video game and be a part of a WWE universe, even though this guy, I can't really remember the last time The Rock showed up. I don't think he was at WrestleMania this year, but, I guess 32 was the last time The Rock was around, and if not, then I just can't think of it. But we've seen The Rock do surprise appearances on Monday Night Raw, coming out and doing the thing with Rusev. We've seen The Rock show up and just have a promo at a Boston house show from the Boston Garden because he just happened to be in town that day. The Rock loves to surprise people. He loves to get back to his fans. It's just that, The Rock's got a TV show coming out on NBC soon. The Rock's always filming some sort of a movie. I think he's filming his spin-off to Fast and the Furious this time. So you can't really knock The Rock for not being there unless you're just not really paying attention to what's going on in The Rock's life right now. He's not wrestling a full-time deal. He's not even set up to have some sort of a match at WrestleMania. So anytime The Rock is around in WWE, it's going to be a big deal, and people want him to be here. I'm going to just basically use what happened in the past. SmackDown had the 10th anniversary a few years ago, and on that show was a pre-done promo from The Rock where what I can remember more than anything else was him calling CM Punk, who was the leader of the Straight Edge Society at that time. So this would actually be between WrestleMania 26 and WrestleMania 27 is when this happened. And during that promo, he called CM Punk BM Punk. And people thought that might lead to The Rock versus CM Punk, which never got paid off. But I believe at the time, CM Punk was definitely one of the... he wasn't the champion, but he was definitely one of the most used heels there was at the time in the company. So it made sense for him to go after him and try and... set something up for a promo or something down the road that sort of just made sense. So if The Rock does anything, I can see him doing it from a movie set or from his trailer. Maybe if we're lucky, getting it from his living room, or maybe that office that he has where he does the promos and he's got all of his championship belts in the background and the case behind them, sort of where he did the promo against John Cena, talking about, the little kid came over to his house and it was all yelling at him, and it was like mini Cena dressed up in all the gear and stuff like that. That's probably honestly the best case scenario, because SmackDown 1000, I honestly can't remember where it's going to be. But wherever it's going to be, I don't think The Rock is going to be there, in my opinion.